Hi, and welcome to my session today. Well, it's the second session today and my third in total. This session is on use advanced message tracking to identify junk mail or spoofing. Yeah, my name is Siegfried Jagott. I'm basically an MVP for over 10 years. Yeah, so that makes me like this small pet. It's the squeaky lobster from Exchange that I got back in 2014. That makes me quite an old Exchange guy. Yeah, I started with Exchange 4.0, and ever since that Exchange, my first Exchange conference was back in 1999. And ever since I've been writing or speaking about Exchange, M365, BPOS, and everything around that. Yeah. In my normal life, I'm the CEO for Intelity. We do large-scale customer projects in this area of Microsoft infrastructure. And you can easily reach me on Twitter. Just use Siggy J. Yeah. But this session would have been nothing without the support of excellent SMEs. Yeah. And today with me are two of the best people in the industry. That's Jeff and Jaap. Welcome.
Thank you, Siggy. And your words are getting better and better every session. So let's continue the good work. And Siggy urged us not to talk too long for the introduction. So I'll keep this brief and I won't talk about my life at all. But I'm in 17 years, let me check. Yeah, 17 years MVP, working with Exchange since Exchange 5. So quite a long time. Exchange, Office 365, moving into security and privacy, and having a good time and enjoying the joys being an SME and not doing any presentation. And I leave that to Siggy. And over to Jeff as the second SME.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeff Kie. I'm not as old as Jaap, so I'm only a 14-year MVP. And I'm a Microsoft Certified Master, and I write the EXPTA blog, and have a great time, everybody. I hope you enjoy MEC. Looking forward to answering your questions.
Correct. As Jeff says, so post your questions to the chat right in the session, and we keep them answered. Yeah, we keep an eye on them, and special questions, of course, we discuss here using talk. Yeah. Okay. So let me start with the presentation, and I have a very tight agenda. Well, it's not tight, but a very let's say a small agenda. Yeah. When I thought about this session, I really, it's like the successor of my session yesterday, which was on MDO EOP topics. Yeah, and I thought it's great to have like an in-depth demo session where we take a look at the tools and go down the path how you can identify what's happening in your Exchange Online environment. Yeah. So first, I will take a look at the SMTP header. I hope I don't bore you with that. It's probably I'm talking about the SMTP header for almost 7, 8, 9 years now. Yeah, but it's such a crucial thing that everybody should understand and know about. And I think it's always worth remembering some of the basics. And then we go down into message trace, formerly known as message tracking. Yeah. So especially in the combination message trace from Exchange and Threat Explorer from MDO, that's kind of two tools that are supporting each other, but maybe you are not using every tool yet. Yeah. And after that, I want to show you a tool that I found very interesting in doing in-depth spam or malware or phishing investigation, and that's called advanced hunting. So let's start right and jump into the SMTP header. So as I said, I don't want to explain you what an SMTP header is, yeah, but the header of every SMTP message from the internet includes a rich set of information that is absolutely useful and very important and for you to investigate. Yeah, investigate what's happening, why is something happening, and why that message was, for example, delivered to junk mail or the quarantine folder. Yeah, and here you see two areas that are key in analyzing the SMTP header. The first one is the anti-spam message header documentation on the internet. And I go in a little bit more detail in the next slides on that. And of course, the message header analyzer, the MHA. Yeah. And there's the MHA is a site, a website, or you can have the MHA as an add-in into Outlook. So you just can use it directly into your Outlook to investigate messages, which is an awesome add-in. Yeah, and I highly recommend to use that. Yeah, and of course, you should be aware of the Microsoft Defender for Office 365 email entity badge, yeah, that I will also show you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about anti-spam message header in an SMTP email. So by default, EOP, so Exchange Online Protection /MDO, however you call that, will insert the results of the scanning into the X forefront anti-spam report header. Wow. Yeah. Internally called X header. Yeah, that's easier. So here you will see certain areas that I will show you in a demo in a minute. Yeah. That, for example, include the spam confidence level, the SCL, bulk complaint level, the BCL, and the phishing confidence level, PCL. Yeah. Talking about the SCL, we have a rating from -1. That's considered an internal mail or a safe sender or a safe recipient, whatever, how do you define it, up to 9, and 9 highly indicates is high confidence spam. So this should really go to quarantine or be rejected or whatever you feel is important. Yeah. And in between, there's 0 to 1. 0 means it's scanned but not spam, or 1 is it's not very likely spam. And then it goes to 5, 6 spam, yeah, more or less spam. And by default, those kind of 5, 6, or 9 are sent to the junk mail folder by default. Yeah. Of course, you can change the default delivery in the anti-malware settings. So let's continue with the spam filtering verdicts. So that's the next level of depth. The SCL is, or BCL is high level. So here you really understand or get more information about what's happening. Why is this email spam or not spam or bulk or not bulk? Yeah. So here you see basically the common examples. Yeah. So the common suspects that a message was not tagged as spam, for example, is because primarily either the admin or the user did add that sender to the whitelist, to their own personal whitelist. And you see that in the SMTP header, if a user added, for example, the recipient to the allow list. Yeah. So like SFV, yeah, SFE, the recipient allowed the sender address in Outlook. So basically, if you're looking for something, why was an email delivered to a user without being moved to the junk mail or quarantine folder, here you get the answer. And of course, then you can tell the user, come on, you whitelisted that user. It's your fault why it did not go into junk mail. Yeah. And other way around, of course, here you also see if something was bulk mail or or spam, yeah, or you see like SFV, SKB, yeah, the message was marked as spam because it matched a sender in the block list. So also the block list, of course, interacts to that. Yeah, and it's crucial that you know where to look it up in order to, of course, analyze that. But SFV is not the only one. There's also CAT. Yeah, the category of protection, CAT. Yeah, so also the CAT is added to the SMTP header. Yeah, and here you, for example, you see if it's bulk or if it's domain impersonation or if it's high confidence spam or malware phishing. Yeah, so you see the different areas. And hello.
Yeah.
Oh. Can you put you on mute? Thank you. Yeah. So the common suspects here are spoof, of course, or UIMP, DIMP. Yeah, the sender failed anti-impersonation checks, for example. Yeah, that you commonly get, and of course, then you can react on that. And lastly is the composite authentication that I wanted to talk about. And that's a pretty tough one. Yeah, it's so basically, it's the combination of multiple types of authentication, as it's based on SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Remember, yesterday I talked about the importance of SPF, DKIM, and DMARC in order to configure that and to protect your email domains from being spoofed by other senders in the internet. Yeah. So this is so the comp-auth value is basically a value developed by Office 365 by Microsoft, yeah, in order to investigate if it's if there's a likelihood, yeah, or not, or a fail to SPF, DKIM, and DMARC that you can react on. Yeah. So basically, comp-auth uses the from domain as the basis for evaluation. And here you see the figures, yeah, and let's have a demo on that. I guess that's easier to understand. Yeah, but it gives you back a fail or a pass basically, and provides you with a 3-digit code that you either that you can look up then, of course, so you understand why Office 365 or Exchange Online Protection did what it said to do.
Hey, so
okay, so let's. Yeah.
Before you get into the demo, Don had a question. He said, just yesterday, I got a report of messages not being delivered. When I looked at the message in Explorer, I saw the message result was dropped blocked and the details detection, technology, IP, reputation. He's asking, what is used to determine this? I saw another user that had gotten the same message and it was allowed. So he's wondering, what is IP reputation?
So IP reputation is an IP block list. Yeah. So the IPs where the emails come from are on an official and internet available IP block list. Like I think it's Spamhaus, for example, has a block list. So the common block lists. So basically, you have to check why the sender used that specific IP for sending. Of course, if it's a valid IP or if the emails are valid, well, or if they are coming from Office 365 or somewhere else, you should contact the sending servers admin in order to get the IPs off their blocking list. Yeah, but IP reputation is really the IP IP of the SMTP server that sends the message to Office 365 that is blocked. Yeah, but we come into the Explorer and into the details how to look at that later in the session. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's have a look. Yeah. So I wanted to show you a couple of junk mails. So that's my real life junk mail folder. And I just happened that I identified 2 messages that I would love to open in the message header analyzer. The message header analyzer is a website you can access as aka.ms and then MHA. Yeah. So aka.ms.mha, and you open the message header analyzer. And what you do is basically you copy over, yeah, in the view area, right click on the message, you copy a few message details, and you just copy over everything in here. Yeah, and once you copy that here, you click on analyze, and voila, you let's shorten that. You see not only the information that is in the header, but you also see information about what the email, how the email traveled to your environment. So this is the starting point, and this is the ending point. So the ending point, of course, is always Office 365 if you use this in your Exchange Online mailbox. Yeah, but it has important information about every step, every SMTP server that was passed, yeah, from creating the email to delivering the email. And you can find, for example, also the information if it's TLS encrypted or not. For our session, of course, that's not the important area. For our session is the forefront anti-spam report header. And this is, by the way, this is a look that should help you to easily identify stuff that you're looking for. Yeah, because it gets more complicated in a minute. Yeah, so here, for example, you have the SCL, the spam confident level. You got the SPV, Yeah, you see spam. Yeah, and you have other information like the protection category. So at cat, it says fish. Yeah, so at that level, you see, okay, SCL5 spam and fish, which of course made sure that that's not high confident but normal spam, and therefore it was delivered to the junk mail folder. Yeah, inside the source header, you see more information here. Yeah, and you see the fields that I was talking about in my previous slide. Yeah, so if you use that slide or if you access the information on the web, then you can use that and further investigate here. What's also important here is the other headers. Yeah, and especially here is the authentication results, because that's where the comp auth is. Yeah, the comp auth here in this mail, yeah, it says at the very end, you see that comp auth pass reason is 109. 109 more or less says, okay, all's good. Yeah, there is a match between the SPF and the DKIM, or there's a DKIM none. So here you see it says the DKIM, the SPF is a pass SMT mail from that domain. It's also in the header, so it's okay. We have a DKIM none, message is not signed. Yeah, and we have a DMARC best guess. Best guess is more or less an implementation by Exchange online protection to if the DMARC record is not set, basically it assumes it's set and makes a best guess here. Yeah, so from comp auth areas, this mail looks good. Yeah, however, as it has been identified as spam, it's of course moved to the spam folder. So let's have a look at another mail, and especially I want to point out the comp auth area here. So this is a mail that's sent. Let me copy it here. Analyze. So that's a mail that I sent to myself, yeah, using Amazon SES, so the email sending service of Amazon in the cloud. Yeah. Of course, when you say, oh, you sent an email from yourself to yourself, of course that's junk. But let's have a deeper look. It's quite interesting how tricky it is. Yeah. So here you see the spam confidence level of 5. That's okay, of course, and we know it's spam. Yeah, and also spoof because I did not allow that in my SPF. Yeah, and if we look into the authentication results, yeah, you see SPF as pass. Well, because the mail was encapsulated using Amazon SES. Okay, yeah, that makes sense for a cloud service that sends email. Then DKIM pass, yeah, because the header came from AmazonSES.com. Well, that makes also sense. So it's all good, yeah. And here we come to the importance to really configure DMARC, because I configured DMARC for my domain, I get a DMARC fail here, and the action that's read out of my DMARC header is reject. So you see it's reject, but Office 365 did not reject that email. Yeah, it came back with a comp auth, and that's here on the of fail, and the reason is 000. Yeah, so that basically says DMARC failed, SPF and DKIM is correct. Yeah, and here you see, okay, you understand that the email came the right way, was SPF and DKIM correct, but because DMARC said no, it's a spoof, please spoof it. It got the category spoof and was sent to the folder. Yeah. And here you see, and there's even more to investigate, but let's continue down the road of what else you have available instead of SMTP header to investigate here. So let's talk about the message trace and the threat explorer. Yeah, so when it's kind of, for me, it was at the beginning quite confusing because I'm Exchange and I always use message trace, or what was formerly called message tracking. Yeah, message tracking, of course, is part of Exchange forever because it's important to track a message. And there's Threat Explorer now, and Threat Explorer is a tool that comes from Microsoft Defender for Office 365. Yeah, and here you see the difference. Message tracing and Threat Explorer are more or less, trace is steps that follow and you see areas, and Threat Explorer investigate in more depth what happened and why it happened. But of course, you can also use Threat Explorer for that. Well, and now it's getting more complicated because Threat Explorer is available for any MDU Plan 2. Yeah. So if you have an E5, you have an Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 2. If you don't have and you only have Plan 1, then you see in email and collaboration real-time detections only, which basically allow you to look at the real-time detections, but are not so powerful as Threat Explorer, the full-flavored tool. So here you see a difference. Yeah, left is Explorer, so that's Plan 2. Right is Plan 1. Yeah, you see there's a couple of, like here, you see malware, phish, and content malware. On the left-hand side, you see all email. So you can investigate any email and not only the malware, phish emails. Yeah, of course you can. It's very similar with the refresh. Yeah, and on the button you see the results. However, in Explorer you can save the query for later usage. Yeah, that you can't do in real-time detections. Yeah. However, let's do a demo and take a look into it. Yeah. So first of all, I want to show you. Yeah, I want to show you a mail basically in. So we open security. So that's the Microsoft Defender Admin Center. Yeah. And if you go down to email, then you have the Explorer. That's the Threat Explorer or real time. And you have message trace. So if you open message trace, of course, you go into the Exchange Admin Center. Let's open that one. Yeah, and you see it's opening. Yeah, and you can do a message trace. It's kind of interesting that the message trace gets, previously it was like it's got the fields and you can start it. Now, in order to create a custom query, you need to start a trace, custom query, put in the sender, yeah, and let me know reply at, so I put in a test email. It's not a test email, it's a spam email that I wanted to show you, and click on search, and then it's not available. Well, because I guess well, no reply dot proactivity. Let's put that and search. So here you have the emails that I wanted to show you. So interestingly, so that's the trace. Yeah. So if you look at the trace, of course, the trace show you what's happened to the mail: received, processed, delivered. Yeah. It even has, well, what it says here, it's quarantined. It even shows you what happened to the mail. It has the email events with it. So it has very similar to what you see in the message header. It has the steps that the message took in Exchange Online and Exchange Online protection available for your review. Yeah. So if you look at that, it was received, the threat scanning was in progress, then it was forwarded. Yeah, no detail, and then it was sent to quarantine somehow. That's here. Yeah, and a day later, you see, oh, the message was received by her and successfully delivered. Yeah, the reason for this is, of course, I, as the admin, opened that email and allowed that it was released from quarantine. And this is, of course, documented. On the top, you see, you can, of course, get more details or detailed extended report. And now you can, for example, you can view this in Explorer or go to hunt for this message. Go to hunt for this message is advanced hunting. View message in Explorer. It opens in your Explorer. Yeah, for investigation. What you also can do here is report the message. And that's a key thing because Exchange Online Protection and Microsoft Defender for Office 365 is a learning environment. It's you have to tell, of course, if a message is false positive, you have to tell that message was okay. And it's not a spoof or spam or whatever, and it was incorrectly sent to the malware folder, yeah, to the quarantine folder. So if you click on here, you see it's going into submissions, and you can add a submission to send it to Microsoft. Yeah, and you can say, no, it should not have been blocked. And this, for example, allows you to put that email address on the tenant allow block list on the table, yeah, for a specific amount of time. As I mentioned in my session yesterday, it's not the best thing to do everything on whitelisting only, but you really should consider this. Especially when you start with Exchange Online and Exchange Online protection, this is a crucial task. And the more emails you submit to Microsoft, the better information you get. Yeah, and of course the system learns on the issues, so it will respect that after some time. So it's not a time of 1 day or 2. So if you click on leave this and it's not on the block list anymore, it still will send it to quarantine. But after a while, it will learn about. And of course, your users can also do this. Yeah, so you should engage that. Yeah, so let's have a look at the thread explorer. Yeah, so you see the message trace goes into the steps. Yeah, interestingly, if you use message trace in PowerShell, then, for example, you get also very similar information in PowerShell that you found in the SMTP header. Here you see the same email that I was tracing, yeah. And if I use get message trace detail, yeah, I get more details on the email from tracking. So it's a detailed report, and if I put in FL, I get information about, for example, SPF. Yeah, yeah. You see SPF. There's the score. Yeah, so you see certain things in here that's normally in the header. Yeah, it's here. Sorry, SCL8. Yeah, string SPM. Yeah, so that's really also in the message tracking. When you do a message trace, you can get also that information, but it's not as sophisticated as if you use it in Thread Explorer. So Thread Explorer here shows you the message. Yeah, so that's Thread Explorer, and it can be accessed directly from Microsoft 365 Defender if you click on Explorer. But because we used that link from message trace, it straight went into the selection and showed you the message. So if you, for example, open a message, you get more information. And as we learned, yeah, we know why it was blocked or rejected or whatever happened. And for example, what technology was used, yeah, and also what happened to it, allowed by organization policy, quarantine release, for example. Yeah, the interesting thing is you also get information about the URLs. Yeah, so you can investigate why something happened, and that's done into more detail when you open the email entity. So the email entity provides you with an analysis and more information what happened and why it happened. Yeah, the interesting thing is here the timeline. So you see here it was originally delivered to quarantine and blocked, but then I, as the admin, yeah, and you see by even the name of the admin is here, that it was released, and then it traveled to the user's mailbox. Yeah, if you click on analysis, you get an overview of the details, including, for example, the BCL, SCL, yeah, the connector it used, but also the thing about DKIM, DMARC, and SPF, for example. So you see here, DMARC was best guess pass, yeah, DKIM was not available, SPF was pass, and composite auth was pass. So this mail looks pretty good, yeah. So why was it defined as phishing? Well, many mails, of course, use different attachments or URLs. So if we take a look at the URLs of this mail, then you see they especially it's the URLs. Yeah, you see they go to different environments. Yeah, so from Google to Mailchimp to Encode. So that's of course an indication. So many different websites that are not assigned to that email that allow phishing or malicious code to be hidden in an email. And for that reason, of course, this email was considered phish, yeah, and of course quarantined. So you see, the Explorer is a very great tool in order to investigate single messages. What you also can use, of course, is if you click on Explorer without a selection, yeah, and you go, for example, on phish, and then you see then you look into your environment and you see what's happened. Yeah, for example, you can hear here's an email. It was dropped. You see it dropped. So why was it dropped? Yeah, let's open it, and then you see, for example, it's dropped because it's got a file detonation reputation. So it's got a malicious file, and that's of course the reason for dropping it. Yeah, and because of file detonation reputation and spoof DMARC. So that's like crying out loudly. Oh, this is of course malicious. Yeah. So you see here in real time or in almost real time what happened, yeah, and you can investigate it, yeah. So in the threats areas of analysis, you see this is phish, yeah, phish, spam, yeah, altogether makes it of course very obvious. Oh, this, and now you know the reason it was dropped, yeah, because of the attachments it's sent to the system, yeah, and to the recipient. Yeah, and also the authentication, you see composite fail, all is fail, so that's obviously spam. Well, that's of course not spam, but phishing. Yeah, they want really to give you something malicious. Yeah. Well, and here also you can go to a message header analyzer, but I found it very useful to use this as a secondary. The great thing is the interaction into each other. Yeah, so if you have the message header analyzer, well, because the message was dropped, of course, we don't have it anymore, but you can copy the message analyzer, the SMTP header here, and just click on this link and it directly goes to the MHA. Yeah. Yeah, and Explorer is a great tool also to for example, to see what's happening in your system, as I said, yeah, or to look at the top targeted users. Yeah, you see, it's me. Well, of course, it's my demo environment that I use as a production. Yeah, so you also can identify what's happening, and this is really worthwhile to look regularly. And regularly means like every week or every other week, yeah, to make sure you understand who's attacking you and what kind of attacks are launched against you. Okay, so that's about the Threat Explorer. Well, what you can do, of course, you can, as I said, yeah, you can use advanced filtering and select certain areas here and go more depth into selecting it. However, what I wanted to show you next is really a tool that I came over earlier this week that even goes into content search. Yeah. So let's continue here. Yeah. So any questions so far, Jeff, Jaap, anything before we continue?
I think we've been handling them. If anybody has a question that we haven't answered, please bring it up. There was a question that's worth repeating about if you're using centralized mail transport, how do you get the advantages of using Threat Explorer? Because everything sources from your Exchange server on-prem in a CMT scenario. So we were talking about using enhanced filtering
Correct.
To have it bypass looking at the last hop. It looks past it, and so it ignores everything that came from on-prem, and it's looking at the headers further on.
That's the only way you can do that. And maybe consider, well, you have a mail inbound gateway. If you don't use EOP MDO, then maybe consider that you use ARC for ARC sealing at that point, because ARC sealing will provide you with the information that will pass through centralized mail routing also to EOP MDO. Yeah, so that's tricky. Yeah, but at some point you should decide whether to use the benefits of EOP MDO or stay with centralized mail routing. Yeah, and here, of course, the learning is key. The system learns from the sending SMTP servers, and if you don't give it to the EOP or MDO, then they cannot learn enough. Yeah, so centralized mail routing, I would say the functionality is limited. I highly would recommend you pay for it. Why don't you use it? So you move to EOP, MDO, and make sure you understand the implications and how to investigate. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on hunting. Advanced hunting. What a name for a tool. Yeah. At the beginning, I thought, well, hunting. Why do we need that? Yeah. But after using it for some time, I fell in love with it. To be honest, it's a very nice tool. Yeah. So advanced hunting basically is a query-based threat hunting tool. Well, what's that? So you can investigate email, for example, or files or attachments or links or whatever, and you can go into the email body. So you go straight into the mailbox and investigate what's in there. You also, and that's, you can reach up to 30 days of raw data here. Yeah. And it's near real time. Yeah. So you can also do reactions on it. So when you find something, you can, for example, move that mail to the junk mail folder if you find it in the inbox. And that's something you before you weren't able to do with any other tool. Yeah. So with message tracking, you cannot move around mails. Yeah. You just know where it is. Yeah. But here with advanced hunting, you can do an action, and that's great. Yeah. So advanced hunting supports two modes. One is guided mode that I will show you, and one is a query editor. I love the query editor, of course. Yeah, the guided mode is for beginning, but it's very easy to use, and I guess everybody can use it. Yeah, you just have to know it's there and what to use it for. Yeah. However, of course, it's the most advanced tool in Microsoft Defender for Office 365, and for that reason, it requires a Plan 2 or an Office E5 license. Yeah. So let's jump into the advanced hunting. Yeah, as I said, yeah, you can access this in email, but advanced hunting is up here. So in the Microsoft 365 Defender, you see advanced hunting here. So in advanced hunting, and let me take a look on my notes. Yeah. So what we can do is when you create new, you have query or query builder. So in query builder, basically you can select the fields that you want to have in your query. Yeah. So let's sender domain is, and this is hopefully they don't kick me out of the session next week at tech, but I recognize that practical365.com, practical365.com was junk mailed by me. Yeah. So you see here we have this recipient email address. Yeah. We put in my email address. Yeah. And then let's see what we get and how to invest and how to dig deeper. Yeah, so that's my address. You also can say how long back you want. Yeah, and then let's run the query. Yeah, and once you see the query is finished, we have one mail. Yeah, and when we open this mail using the network message ID, we go into the Explorer. Yay! So it's interconnected. Yeah, so now I look into the Explorer. Into Threat Explorer and can investigate this email. Yeah, which is of course the excellent connection, because you can in real time, even the Explorer did not show anything. You can go in and do an analysis and know and see why Practical 365 is phishing, considered as phishing. Well, why is that? Again, it's the URLs they are using. Yeah. And of course, that seems that we need to learn them a little bit more. Yeah, maybe Practical 365, Jeff, or maybe Quest. Yeah. So getting back to advanced hunting. Yeah. So so I showed you basically the connection, and the interesting thing is, so from this query, you can save it, of course. On the left-hand side, you have your default queries, community queries, and the queries that I saved. Yeah, or what I can do is I can use this and edit it in the query editor. And here you see the example that that I used, that we developed using the query builder. So getting back to a new query, but let's have a look how a new query looks like with the query builder. Yeah, the thing is, so any email event, so basically it's called email events. Yeah, you have the areas here, apps and email events, and in the email events you can email events, attachment info, or URLs or whatever. Yeah, so if you put email events, yeah, email events, and then you pipe where, and you really get the fields here. Yeah, so sender, so let's recipient email address equals my email address. Yeah, so I get all mails, yeah, from the last 7 days. Yeah, I can say custom pay last 24 hours, last 7 days, yeah, and then run this query, and I get the results immediately down here. Yeah, so you see there's like several. So Jeff, you're getting well, that's all mails, by the way. Yeah. So if you look to the right, of course, they are delivered in the email direction inbound, delivered inbox. Yeah. And here you can say, okay, let's look for thread. Yeah. Or let's look for quarantine. Yeah. So what mails to me were quarantined, let's say in the last 24 hours. So in order to do this, you inspect the record. And the awesome thing here is you see the 3 dots here. So if I want to sort something like, let's say, delivery location quarantine, I just click here and add delivery location equals quarantine. So it directly adds this to my string. Yeah. And it's here. Yeah. So you see, now I run again, and I immediately have a list of only the emails that have been quarantined with me or blocked. Yeah. Of course, delivery action blocked or dropped, like in the previous example. And you can sort that and make sure you understand why something is happening here. Yeah. And you see that there's some weird things and some that are obvious or Mac Airlift delivery, yeah, that also was quarantined for some reason. Yeah, so that's the reason they asked us to put them on the whitelist. Yeah. So you see the combination and the powerful stuff here. Yeah. I have something more to show you. It's for example, what you can go down very deep in here. Yeah. For example, I want to identify any fish spam malware. Yeah. So that's events where thread is fish, blah blah blah, and with or and yeah malware inbound. I can basically identify whatever I want, and then I can, for example, summarize it or count. And here you see what happened, yeah, in my system. Yeah, so here was a file that has been dropped. Yeah, like the attendee that just asked the question about dropping and deleting. Yeah, so you can look into here and see what happened and which detection method, of course, was used and why it was used for blocking. Because yeah, dropping is the worst thing, and normally it does not happen that often, to be honest, because the official guide of Microsoft Office 365 is to deliver more or less everything and let the admin decide if they want to drop it. Yeah. So you see. Also, what's very interesting is, and that's quite new, you can run it to identify bulk mail. Yeah, so BCL. Yeah, so email events where bulk mail complaint level is more than one or one. Yeah, and the timestamp. Then run the query in your system. Yeah, and I will share this information, by the way, with my sample scripts. They're awesome. Yeah, so you immediately know what's happening here. And look, that's Azure. Azure no reply has a bulk mail in my system. Yeah, identified as bulk mail, and you also see the count. And what you can do is also change the charts. Yeah, and then of course, if you change the charts, you can create something nice for your management if you want that. Yeah, and it's real time. So that's not old data. It's in real time what you can use here. And I think that's awesome, isn't it? It's very nice and very cool. Yeah. So let me see. So we talked about the Amazon SES thing that I showed you at the beginning. Yeah. So basically, I also have an example here. So that query basically looks for Amazon SES in the send mail from domain. Yeah. So in the header, and looks for inbound and comp out fail. So the combination is really, this is sending on something where comp out fails, and here I can identify that message. Yeah. That we've been investigating, by the way. Yeah. And you see why it failed, because it says DMARC spoof. Yeah. But the great thing here now is with the threat, or not threat explorer, but advanced hunting, you can create a detection rule. And that detection rule basically allows you, well, I cannot use it on this one, but that because I use a function here that's not supported. Yeah, but if let's it won't work, but I can create now a detection rule. No. But with the detection rule, basically, you can create an automatic response, and that rule will run, for example, every 24 hours, and move those kind of messages that you clearly identified to, for example, junk mail or quarantine, or to the inbox. So you can use this in a sense of transport rule in a very similar way. Yeah, think about that and how powerful advanced hunting is compared to message trace, threat explorer, and of course, to your transport rules in Exchange. Okay, so that brings me back to my demo. Well, that brings me back to some useful links. Yeah, I have them, and I post them, of course, in the chat. Yeah, I learned that everybody lost the links, and the problem is really that the links are in my presentation and nobody can access them. So for that reason, I just posted it to the chat. Feel free to copy that. Yeah, and if you find it useful, feel free to basically let me know. Yeah, let me know your scripts, for example. Yeah, and don't forget, we have a couple of more minutes for questions, but it would be awesome if you can provide me with some feedback about the session. You see, it's very rich, and I hope I brought some clearance in the sky, in the clouds. Yeah, when you see all those tools and how they interact with each other in order to support you and get rid of your junk spoof spam messages. Yeah. Thank you very much. Here's my contact information, the link, and feel free to ask any question now. Jeff, Jaap, is there anything to add?
What a great session, Sigi. I think we covered everyone's questions.
Wow,
this
thank you.
Really come a long way. I covered this briefly, well, not briefly, but I covered it about 2 years ago at Ignite in Florida, in Orlando. Yeah. And at that time, it was not nearly as feature rich as it is now. So good job on the demos. And I think that brings a lot of clarity to people, I hope.
Yeah, especially the detections rules are pretty new. Yeah, they haven't been around 2 years ago. And I think that makes it really the complete picture. Yeah.
Yes, completely. A lot of people are asking for
Jeff.
Query samples. Do you have any query samples that you can share? And if so,
yeah, let me put them in the chat. Yeah, I put them into the chat right now. Yeah, so
okay.
Just grab them there. Yeah, and so yeah.
Hey, it looks like we have a hand raised from the attendees. We have Dennis with a hand raised. Dennis, would you like to ask a question?
Feel free. Oh, he's
Dennis,
cheering.
Yeah. yeah, exactly.
So,
all right, Dennis.
Otherwise, I show you squeaky again. No, just kidding. No, thanks for. So any question, feel free to ask now. I guess in a minute or two, we stop the recording, but feel free, unmute and ask your questions.
Yeah, if there were any questions that we missed answering, please put them in the chat.
Well, if not, you can reach out to me via Twitter or email. Just let me know, and I will, of course, try to help you. And also the blocking thing, It's probably interesting in using Threat Explorer to see why it was dropped. And of course, IP reputation, you get the IP address and you can check it on the web if it's blocked. So there's a lot of sites in here for IP blocking. Just run it against and you will see why it was dropped. Getting back to the Jeff, your question that you asked before.
Right.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. So enjoy the show. Yeah, and thanks to my SMEs, yeah, Jeff and Jaap. I owe you a beer next week at Tech in Atlanta.
That's always good.
Oh yeah,
Always
I'll
good.
take you up
3
on
beers
that.
is always good.
Yeah, best
Okay.
best tasting beer. All right, thanks, Siggy. Good job.
Thank you.